Tonight, years after Donald Trump demanded state officials find him the votes, the FBI is chasing down Trump's conspiracy theories in Fulton County, Georgia. Yesterday, the FBI carried out a raid of Fulton County's elections office and took 700 boxes of ballots, among other materials. Officials there are complying with the investigation, and they are adamant that they did nothing wrong.
Any honest review of these files will show what every previous review has shown. Fulton County elections are fair and lawful, and the outcome of the 2020 election will not change, period.
All right, welcome back. I'll admit it up front. I brought this panel dynamic back because it perfectly captures the pattern we keep seeing. Every election cycle, the same strategy resurfaces. First, manufacture panic, then present yourselves as the only solution. Fear becomes the product, and power is the payoff. The narrative always starts with claims of chaos, rigged elections, shadowy forces, vague threats, none of which ever seem to hold up under scrutiny. Yet, instead of evidence, what follows is a sales pitch. Trust us, vote for us, and we'll fix the very crisis we invented. It's a closed loop designed to mobilize outrage, not solve problems. What's remarkable isn't just that these stories keep circulating, but that they're recycled without revision. We've seen this playbook before, from debunked legal theories to sensational claims that collapsed the moment facts were introduced. Major media organizations have paid enormous legal costs because those claims couldn't stand in court. At some point, it's worth asking why these narratives persist. Is it misinformation alone, or a willingness to believe what feels convenient rather than what's verifiable? That question matters, because democracy only works when voters demand evidence, not emotion.
Now, beginning last night and then resuming in the 5 a.m. hour this morning, the president was on a social media tear. He posted more than 60 times about a wide array of topics and conspiracies, including claims that Obama falsified intelligence and conspired with foreign countries in 2016, that China was behind the stolen election operation in 2020, and that Italian military satellites had been used to hack into voting machines to flip votes from Trump to Biden. And now, for some reason, the director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has been tasked with what they're calling an investigation into the 2020 election. What is going on here, Ellie Honig?
Great question. Let me tell you what we do know for sure and then what my questions are. We know for sure that in order to do a search warrant, prosecutors have to establish probable cause that a crime was committed. That's not reasonable doubt, but probable cause. They have to write it out, and then they have to go to a judge, or in this case, a magistrate judge, that's fine, who then reviews it and signs off. So we know that a magistrate judge looked at this document. We haven't seen the full document and said, I find at least probable cause that there's a crime committed and that you're likely to find evidence of that crime in the place you search. A couple things that are strange to me. First of all, this warrant came from the Eastern District of Missouri. I don't know what the Eastern District of Missouri is doing investigating Georgia. Number two, the statute of limitations on any of these crimes is going to be 5 years. We are 5+ years after the 2020 election. We are 5+ years after the inauguration. So I'm not sure how DOJ thinks they're going to make a case. And then number three, of course, which I will throw open to the table, is nothing on this planet has been investigated more than these 2020 election fraud theories and never come to fruition, been rejected by Congress, by prosecutors, by Bill Barr, by you name it. And it's been rejected across the board.
It is a unhinged conspiracy theory. That is what it is. And it is now being investigated by the White House, trying to legitimize and normalize it.
I think it's good to investigate, and this is why. At the time, according to Politico, 68% of Republicans doubted the fairness of the election outcome. According to other polls, it was over 70%. We want everyone in the country to be confident that elections are fair, that they're honest. And if looking at these documents can restore some of that confidence, what's wrong with looking at the evidence? What's wrong with it?
And what's the basis of the fraud, by the way? Like, I just want to make sure that I understand. I
didn't sign the warrant. I don't know. But the fact is, what's wrong with looking at the boxes of evidence? Let's have fair people, unbiased people look and call it as they see it. What do you think?
May I ask a question? If the statute of limitations on all this would have run by now, why would a judge sign off on going in and getting it? Is it possible there are other statutes or other laws or other issues that have been violated that wouldn't have a statute of limitations?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I can think of two reasons. One is, yeah, there are some statutes where the limitations is 8 years, 10 years, and could be judge. Look, I've brought search warrants to judges. Sometimes they just sort of flip them pretty quickly. Now, look, this search warrant, we want to go into Fulton County. I hope to heck that magistrate judge looked at this very carefully. I should add, this warrant, given DOJ's policies and practices, would have had to go up to the top of DOJ. I mean, you know, this involves a public place, a political place. And so I think it's a safe bet that Todd Blanche, God knows what Pam Bondi's doing, looked at this and approved it.
Look, I mean, at the end of the day, though, Trump is convinced that he won an election that he lost. And that's what this is about.
That's what this is.
He knows he didn't.
Let me show you this picture. This is election denier Sidney Powell posing with Ed Martin, who is currently working in the administration. He posted this today for a reason, because it seems that what he wants to show is that they're back. The election deniers are back in the White House, in influence, when really everything that they have said and done has been thoroughly discredited.
And I have to agree with you as somebody who's never voted. I cannot wait for the day, since I've lived in this country since 1993, where I'm allowed to vote, right? I have not been able to vote because of my immigration status. I think there's nothing more privilege and there's no greater right than to vote. So much of the fraud issues has been the illegals are voting, right? So much of it has been about all these people that people are saying are somehow poisoning the integrity of the vote. When
I
in
think
reality,
in this, George, it's the mail-in ballots. It's not illegals.
But
It's
that's
mail-in
been a big
ballots.
part of the narrative about all of this. And I think that's what I find just incredibly tragic.
Can I ask another question? If it came out of the Eastern District of Missouri, does that mean that's where the evidence goes and that's where a grand jury would look at it, Elliot?
Typically, yeah. You can do a search warrant in another district, right? So I was here in Southern District, New York. Sometimes we needed evidence that was in New Jersey. And, you know, you do your search there, but the evidence, yes, would, in this case, go back to Missouri. And if there were to be a charge, I can't, again, wait and see, it would come out of Missouri.
So let me play this.
Where do some...
This is former Lieutenant Governor Jeff Duncan, who basically left Republican politics because he wouldn't go along with a lot of this stuff coming from his own party. Here's what he said about this today.
It's just another disgusting attempt by Donald Trump and his administration to try and rewrite history. But I think it's important to recognize Donald Trump does not care, has never cared about protecting democracy or due process or following the law or just embracing the facts. But Donald Trump has figured out the cheat code. If he can weaponize the federal government, he can feel like he's getting his way each and every day. And it's wrong.
So I think that's everything we're talking about here. The president, this makes him look small. It makes him look petty. And frankly, the people that are continuing to go along with this, it shows me they don't have a whole lot of integrity. You mentioned about, well, why not do it? Because then you can restore some confidence in election integrity. It's only one group of people who think this. And I don't think that group should be capitulated to when it's entirely too much evidence.
One of the two major parties.
And by the way, they
but
only
you have the presidency. You
but they
have
only
every
believe
level
it because the president told them to.
Exactly.
And so what do? You then coddle Trump's lies and perpetuate.
You don't know
the
it's a lie till you
misinformation.
look at the evidence.
It has been
we
proven
do know
many times it is a lie.
Are you saying you believe the election was stolen?
I'm saying I'd like to see the evidence.
There's been plenty of evidence. They have never presented any evidence of any wrongdoing. It's gone to courts. It's gone to judges. They've all
Why
been
are you
proven
objecting
false.
to looking at this
Because
evidence?
they've looked at it so many
to looking at this
times.
evidence?
Well, my eyebrows were raised when a federal judge signed off on a warrant.
Yes.
I mean, that did cause me to wonder, what do they know that they didn't know previously?
All right, everybody. Thank you very much
these
for
people are.
And
Still
I
calling.
want to play you something. This was in focus this week. President Trump said this last week at Davos. This was about the 2020 elections. Take a look.
It was a rigged election. Everybody now knows that. They found out. People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It was a rigged election. Can't have rigged elections.
Is
He was
it
all fucked
healthy for this country's democracy, for the sitting president to be questioning the 2020 election 5 years ago, something claims that have been deemed to be false again now that he lost?
What's healthy for our country and our democracy is for everyone to be laser focused on election integrity. If you don't
But
have
that's
free
not
and fair
election integrity,
Oh, yes,
Mr.
wait a minute.
Speaker.
Yes, it is.
This was asked and answered and litigated and relitigated. The page has been turned. He's still talking about an election that he lost, allegations which have been deemed claimed.
The president is
false.
keeping the focus on election integrity. It must be in the forefront of everyone's minds, because if you don't have a free and fair election, you cannot maintain a constitutional republic. He's bothered by what happened in 2020, and we all know there was a lot of irregularity and problem in that, and we're not going to relitigate it. That's not the point. What we have to do is go forward and ensure that we don't have these problems in the future. That's why the House has passed the SAVE Act twice already. We have further election integrity measures that we're working on now, and everybody in both parties should applaud that. They should support it.
You're saying there were irregularities. State and federal election officials called 2020 the most secure election in history. But let me ask you about what's happening in Georgia this week. FBI agents executed a warrant at an election hub in Fulton County, seizing ballots and records tied to the 2020 election. I want you to listen to what Democratic Senator John Ossoff of Georgia had to say about this search. Take a look.
And here's the thing. This is a shot across the bow at the midterm elections. He tried to steal power when he lost it in 2020. We have to be prepared for all kinds of schemes and shenanigans. We have to be prepared for him to try to deprive people of their voting rights in Georgia.
What do you say to that allegation that President Trump is going to meddle in the 2026 midterm elections, that that's what he's doing in Georgia?
I find it comical that one of the senators from Georgia is talking about schemes in elections. Remember, Georgia was example A of that in the 2020 election.
There were two statewide recounts in Georgia, Mr.
They
Speaker.
sent mail-out ballots to everyone. Everyone knows all of the problems that occurred in Georgia. It was very controversial and remains so to this day because of all the things that happened there. Again, we're not going to relitigate that, but what we have to focus on is going forward to ensure that there are not questions about the elections, and that's why Republicans are working at the federal and the state levels to clean those things up, to clean up voter rolls, to make sure illegals are not voting, for example. That's what the SAVE Act is about. And we have to continue that, and the president is keeping a proper focus on it. This investigation is to ensure that all the questions about the elections in Fulton County are investigated properly so that people have confidence in the system again. That's very important.
But there are really no questions about election integrity from 2020 that have not been asked and answered. Even the Republican-led the Republican-led governor has pointed out it's been years and no one has ever come forward under oath with evidence of fraud in Georgia. But let me ask you, was it appropriate for the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard? She was on the ground there. She is prohibited by law from taking part in domestic law enforcement. Was it appropriate for her to be a part of the raid on the election center in Georgia?
I don't know. I do believe the DNI has some involvement and some role to play in ensuring election integrity. But I don't know the details of that, and we have to reserve judgment. I will.
The National Security Act of 1947 bars U.S. intelligence agencies from exercising law enforcement powers.
But we don't know that that's what happened there. I don't know that she was part of a law enforcement function there.
Okay, let me ask you, bottom line, do you have confidence in the results of the 2026 midterm elections, that they will be free and fair?
I do, because of all these efforts and the legislation that we've been working on, and the efforts and the attention that we're keeping on this subject. I think it's very important. And again, it's not a partisan thing. Every American should applaud that, and we'll continue.
All right, House Speaker.
What stands out next is the level of deference on display. Even when given clear opportunities to dial down the temperature, some leaders simply won't do it. Not because they're unaware of the damage, but because challenging the figure at the center of their movement comes with consequences they're unwilling to face. There's a deeper issue the media rarely spells out. This isn't just about winning elections. It's about avoiding accountability. If your agenda doesn't include lowering costs, expanding access to health care, or materially improving daily life, persuasion becomes harder, so distraction becomes the strategy. Instead of bipartisan solutions that could actually earn public trust, the focus shifts to cultural panic and manufactured threats. Immigration, social issues, vague claims of fraud, these narratives keep voters emotionally engaged, while economic decisions quietly favor those already at the top. Both parties have problems with money in politics, but the imbalance is clear. We've seen proposals that cut support programs while extending benefits to the wealthiest Americans. That contrast matters. I'll let the next clip speak for itself. Watch closely, not just what's said, but what's avoided. Then tell me what you think in the comments. If you found this breakdown useful, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.